Welcome to Awakening Somatic Intelligence Dialogues on the Science, Art, and Practice of Embodied Mindfulness. I am so pleased to have here today my dear friend David Alzey, who was performing his transformational performances involving mime and humor at the Science and Non-Duality Conference in San Jose, where we were both working this weekend. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to invite you into a dialogue about how it is that you're bringing the invisible into a way that it could be deeply sensed and felt by a group.
A lot of it has to do with my awareness and consciousness from the stage of the entire space. So I hold a sense of the entire space. And I'm moving my body, but there's a corresponding energetic response from the audience that I can feel. I can just hear the energy. Is it with me? Is it not? If it's not, what do I need to do to engage more? What are they feeding me to be really still? And they're totally with me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in that stillness, the smallest movement is enough, you know? And if they're really not with me yet, sometimes I have to be, I have to dance
more
with them.
Intentional.
Yeah, make a sound or something that engages the senses. So for the performer, the performing artist that I would call a transformational performing artist, it requires that they be beyond their own definitions. Because to transform or assist an audience's personal transformation or internal transformation, not by doing it to anyone, but by being that transformation,
yes,
it resonates with the place inside that an audience knows is also beyond their limitations.
Yes.
So the whole performance becomes an agreement to be in the unknown, about to find out what's known. That space is not actually empty.
Yeah.
So what's your relationship to the fullness of what your hand is in contact with now? Mm-hmm. And he's always funny, and he said, the little molecules, they're alive, They feel you, don't be violent, So if I'm to do this, I'm imagining that I'm pushing molecules and loving them, as opposed to like this, which is kind of unconscious. I'm just doing
yes.
it. But if I switch and I imagine actually touching the molecules in space, there's something that happens in the witness and within me that makes the movement full.
So it's almost like going into a much more dimensional, extended reality, right?
Totally.
Rather than having this sense of there's nothing out there that I'm
moving
through, right? Versus that sense of space moving through me as much as I'm moving through it. Right?
Yeah, because suddenly you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, they're enlivened when we're in a relationship, whether it's a relationship to our own truth, or a relationship to, as Rumi would say, the beloved. That's presence as you looking at me, which is myself looking back. Suddenly I have a relationship to myself. Yeah. I'm enlivened, I'm awakened. But if it's just me alone and separate, which is the bane of our existence, is perception of separation from existence, I'm not actually interested in the space because I'm separate from it. Mm-hmm. I'm not interested in you. I'll talk to you, more like at you,
right?
From here to there. But if I open myself and I actually feel you as my own presence, I actually see you doing this, and it means something to me. It touches me.
Yeah, and that beautiful moment where everybody enters into that space of suspension. Yeah.
It's joyful because everybody that is there has come from their storyline.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone walks through the door of the theater and sits down with activity.
Yeah.
The day, the relationships, whatever storyline they're coming into the theater with or the space with. And then in that moment, when I do something like what you're proposing, which would be right? We're all here. And then out of that, if I'm not speaking, it's a and they'll come with me all the way.
Yeah.
When I studied with my mime teacher, Samuel Avatal, the school was called Le Centre de Silence, the center of silence. And it was the exploration of how free am I as a performer to be the air and the tree and the bird and the leaf falling through the air and the boy watching.
Yeah.
Or in water, if I'm to be the water and the ocean and the swimmer and the fish. I have to somehow let my body become, and then within you begin to experience that, right? I have to become water. Undulating and isolated in a wave that's here and not over here. And if I'm the swimmer, maybe I right?
Yeah.
And we can go on forever.
Yeah.
I can be the little wave or the drop suddenly.
Yeah.
So the teaching is, for me to be on stage and really reveal the universe, I have to really be free of my self-perceptions.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the metaphorical parallel between the stage and life. It engages or activates or facilitates the already inherent wisdom of the body and of existence through form. So it's similar on stage for me to activate the universal fish that I am,
Yes.
or the universality that this form can represent.
Yes.
So from a performance art standpoint, that was the orientation that I studied at age 17. So from there forward, it became actually a foundation for my study, my teaching, my work that I do with anyone, and my performing.
Yeah.
Same foundation.
Yeah. So beautiful, the sense.